Okay, game number 1, we're going to be watching the playback. I took entirely too long to play this game, and I did not time out, though me and my opponent together did use most of our match time. I did practice with this deck, but obviously I needed to practice more. I need to play faster. So we're presented with a pretty good hand to keep. We have Tortured Existence, which is what you're looking for right off the bat, and we also have something to fill up our graveyard so we can start the Tortured Existence value train. We can go ahead and lead with a tap land, since we don't need our Tortured Existence down right away. And we play our Satyr Wayfinder. And we miss on lands. So when our opponent returns the Prophetic Prism to their hand and plays Core Skyfisher, we realize that they are not Affinity, they are in fact Kuldotha Boros. So in my turn, I have enough lands. I already have the Tortured Existence, so I decide to start dredging with Golgari Brownscale. On this turn, I could play a 1-drop enchantment and then return it with Core Skyfisher to get it on the battlefield. But instead, I decide to pick up my Satyr Wayfinder for more card advantage, and since the 1/1's not going to do too much anytime soon. Our opponent plays Galvanic Blast before playing their Ichor Wellspring, which doesn't kill our Core Skyfisher. So they unfortunately made a mistake there, so we don't block, and they effectively lose a Galvanic Blast just to deal 2 damage to our face. We go ahead and attack for 2 since we're going to have another blocker. We play Tortured Existence, Core Skyfisher, pick up Tortured Existence, and replay it, so we can start this value train. Our opponent goes Journey to Nowhere, getting rid of both of our Core Skyfishers, and thus we can't no longer have a blocker for theirs. So we need to have a plan. On our upkeep, we decide to get rid of Brownscale, getting back Scrabbler, so that during our draw step, we're able to dredge back our Golgari Brownscale and start using Tortured Existence. We play Satyr Wayfinder, find and play a Swamp, and we get our Golgari Brownscale in the graveyard so we can continue dredging it. They develop their board in the air with another Skyfisher, replay their Prism, and go up to 4 cards in hand. We decide to cycle our Ash Baron so we can get more colored mana sources. Play down a Vessel of Nascency, and here we want to start thinking about recurring this Spore Frog every turn by dredging back Golgari Brownscale to discard of this, while we're looking for a Crypt Rats to clear off their side of the board. So there's a Spore Frog. We go ahead and sacrifice it to gain ourselves 4 life, and then on their end step we can do the Grave Scrabbler trick. They play a Battle Screech, and since we don't have enough creatures in our graveyard that we care about yet, we decide to just go ahead and get rid of Golgari Brownscale for now. So now that that's in our graveyard, we discard Grave Scrabbler to Tortured Existence, cast it for its Madness cost, and get back 2 creature cards, namely Spore Frog and another Spore Frog, so that we can just keep on fogging for forever while we look for our Crypt Rats. And it turns out that it actually takes us a very long time to find our Crypt Rats in this game. You see us here with all 4 Spore Frogs in hand. They don't really want to trade with our things when we attack, so we attack with what we can. We Spore Frog every single turn, and we keep on using Tortured Existence to get back our Brownscale to gain life. Kuldotha Rebirth puts some goblins on the battlefield. Glinthawk picks up Prophetic Prism. And because these Glinthawks and Skyfishers are drawing them cards, it's taking them a long time to run out of cards in hand, and they still have 3 cards in hand. We play our Mesmeric Fiend to get a look at their hand. They Galvanic Blast our Carrion Feeder in response, because they know that if they don't, that we can sacrifice Mesmeric Fiend with the trigger on the stack, and they'll never get their card back. So we get a look at their hand, a Battle Screech and a Lightning Bolt. So we take the Lightning Bolt, which they'll get back later after we clear the board. We play a Spore Frog, and then we play another Spore Frog, save it up for later. They go ahead and play another Battle Screech. I think this was probably a mistake to do, but they might not have known about the existence of Crypt Rats eventually being able to wipe their board. They didn't need to commit anything else to the board before we went ahead and did our Crypt Rats. We just needed to find it. So we get some card advantage with our Grave Scrabbler again, returning 2 Spore Frogs to hand so that we never run out. Importantly, we pass the turn with 2 Spore Frogs. That way, if they did draw another removal spell, they can't Bolt or Galvanic Blast a Spore Frog on our end step and then attack for a bunch of damage. If they do, we have a second Spore Frog in reserve, which is why we have 2 on the battlefield now. They play a 3 Inspector and immediately crack their clue. They're finally running out of cards in hand. They Firebolt our Mesmeric Fiend to get their Lightning Bolt back, and Flashback to take out another card. So now they have a Lightning Bolt in hand, and they're able to cast it because of Prophetic Prism. We finally have found our Crypt Rats with a Dredge from Brown Scale, so we activate it for 1 and bash. We're at 28 life here, so we're pretty safe. We're okay with taking some damage in the air and then getting Crypt Rats back again for the second clear. So now they dump their entire hand. They have two Battle Screeches in the graveyard. They choose not to flash back still. We fall to 23, which is not that bad. Dredge back our Brown Scale, get our Crypt Rats, and play it, intending to sacrifice it next turn. Go ahead and sacrifice our Spore Frog to gain ourselves some life here. Our opponent's at 1 card in hand. We go ahead and attack since we're going to Crypt Rats anyway. Wipe the board, reestablish with a Golgari Brown Scale. Here we could have saved this and then on our upkeep discarded it, dredged it back, and started the procedure over again. However, any creature card that we draw starts our value train of being able to get back our Grave Scrabbler and get card advantage again. And putting this on the battlefield actually puts them under some sort of threat, and they're only at 9 life. So that's why I decided to hardcast it here, which is not very often correct in this deck. You often want to keep it in your graveyard for dredging. So we are lucky enough to draw a creature. We decide to pass and do this all at instant speed. They play Skyfisher, pick up Prism, replay it, and then on their end step we'll discard this, getting a Grave Scrabbler, discard the Grave Scrabbler, cast it with Madness. And the 2 cards we get here from the Grave Scrabbler and from the Existence will be shown. Pick up a Carrion Feeder and a Grave Scrabbler. They don't give us 2 free damage here, but oh well. We play Crypt Rats in case they're able to play their double Battle Screech flashback somehow. And in response to them lightning bolting, I decide to go ahead and finish off their Skyfisher by activating for 1. They're at 8, and we're at 23 here. We get back Crypt Rats again, just to continuously have that as an option if they ever decide to play creatures. And on their end step, we play the Grave Scrabbler with Madness and just keep on getting card advantage. This is exactly what the deck excels at. Wiping the board with Crypt Rats, and then from there, just having all the advantage in the world. Because your opponent has presumably dumped their hand to try to keep up and pressure you through your Spore Frogs. And then when you have card advantage and your opponent's very low in cards in hand, you keep that card advantage with things like Mesmeric Fiend, with things like recurring Crypt Rats over and over again. So if they ever try to reestablish the board, you just wipe it. And then you use your Grave Scrabblers as 2-for-1s just to rebuild your hand and rebuild the board simultaneously. So we don't have a very fast clock here, but we don't need a very fast clock. They cycle through some Ichor Wellsprings. And we put a little bit more damage on the board. Fill our hand up just a little bit more. And we bash for lethal. For sideboarding, we decide to bring in our Mesmeric Fiends and our Quasali Pride Mage, taking out some of our Vessel of Nascency and some of our other one-ofs like our Auramancer. Mesmeric Fiend is good for getting rid of removal spells, and also slowing down things like Battle Screech. And Quasali Pride Mage can attack their lands, their clues, and their Prophetic Prism, so it's pretty good. And even their Journey to Nowhere, which is a great removal spell against us. In Game 2, we once again have Tortured Existence in our opening hand. We don't have a way to fill up the graveyard until we want to activate this Vessel, so it's a little bit slower, but it's still good. Our opponent mulligans to 6, puts a card on bottom. And we lead off with our Tortured Existence. Here we play our Vessel and we can cycle our Ash Barrens, while they just sacrifice a clue and play Glinthawk, picking up their Ancient Den. We decide to go get another Black Sword in case we draw Crypt Rats or in case we find one. We play our Abundant Growth then, since we top decked a Core Skyfisher, we can use that to pick it up. It's a good blocker. They get another clue token from replaying Inspector. We replay our Abundant Growth for our own card advantage and leave open Tortured Existence. Here they're trying to get it aggressive, so they let us block this 2/2 for free and dropping us down to 13. And play another Core Skyfisher, trying to beat down in the air. They pick up and replay Thrave Inspector. And then on end step, we get back Crypt Rats, discarding Golgari Brownscale, so that we can start gaining life and getting out of range of being killed. We play our Crypt Rats in anticipation of wiping the board next turn and leave back Core Skyfisher to block. Luckily, they don't Journey to Nowhere our Crypt Rats, which would be annoying. We could always activate it for 1 in response, but it would still slow us down a lot. We get back a Quasali Pridemage in hand, attack for a free 2, and wipe the board with Crypt Rats. Then redevelop a Quasali Pridemage and take care of their clue to stop them from getting card advantage. Glint Hawk into replaying Ichor Wellspring takes them up to 5 cards in hand, and Core Skyfisher as well reestablishes their board. We get back Core Skyfisher and play it, so we'll have a blocker again. And we also get some card advantage, play our Grave Scrabbler with Madness, and get back a Mesmeric Fiend. Two Wellsprings come down. They give us another free block. We block the 2/2. They get us down to 12, but unfortunately it's just not going to be enough with us being able to recall this brown scale over and over again to gain life. We get rid of brown scale on upkeep so that we can dredge it back and gain life. They reveal their hand to be pretty slow when we cast this Mesmeric Fiend. They have a Molten Rain, the Lightning Bolt, Secluded Step, Ichor Wellspring, and we decide to get rid of their Reaping the Graves. Because their graveyard is full of creatures, we don't want them to be able to get a lot of them back somehow, and they have no red mana sources, so this Bolt and this Molten Rain are going to take a while before they're useful. We're down to 2 minutes and 43 seconds because we've been taking a lot of time thinking about our plays. Our opponent has a whopping 12 minutes left. We play our Core Skyfisher, replay our enchantments. They play Glint Hawk and keep on digging through their deck, and they find a red source, which means they can now cast Lightning Bolt. We get back Mesmeric Fiend again, or rather another Mesmeric Fiend. Play a Crypt Rat so that we can wipe the board. And save our Mesmeric Fiend for after we activate our Crypt Rats. Core Skyfisher goes down to the Bolt and they attack in the air unopposed. They waste a Prismatic Strands here. I'm not really sure why they did this. Maybe they just wanted to get into the graveyard so that they can flash it back by tapping an untapped white creature they control. They also rally the Peasants to take us down to a rather low life total. However, we get to dredge back Brownscale, go to 6, and then we can activate Crypt Rats for 3 without really getting hurt. So boom, there goes the board. They get their Reaping the Graves back in hand, so we take it away with Mesmeric Fiend again, since we don't want them to have that. And we just start beating down again. We leave open plenty of black mana symbols, so that we can gain life if we need to. They dropped us down to a rather low life total after we wiped the board with Crypt Rats. But now at any time we want, we can discard Golgari Brownscale to get a creature, and then discard that creature to get Brownscale back. So for every black mana that we spend, we can gain 2 life, which is a pretty cool trick in this deck. So that's what we do here, even though they're not Galvanic Blasting us. We do this on their end step, gaining some life, getting some other cards, dredging back that Brownscale again. And they have to kill a 2/3 just to slow down our clock. We take their Molten Rain away. They cycle through some cards, trying to find some action. Play a Thrave Inspector as a blocker. So here we're feeling pretty good. We're at 19 seconds left on our clock. We can attack for 2 damage, they block 1 of it. And then we play Crypt Rats, activate it for 1, and they die. We decide to dredge back, keep ourselves out of burn range. We play the Crypt Rats, activate it for 1, and what does our opponent do? They flash back Prismatic Strands that we forgot about and stop the damage from the Crypt Rats. So here we are with 6 seconds left on the clock. Only 2 cards. We attack. They flash back, rally the Peasants, and block. But it doesn't matter because they take the final damage that they need to, with us having 2 seconds left on our clock. Out of respect for my opponent, I should be playing a lot faster. I should have more experience with the deck than I do. So if you do decide to pick up this deck, practice before you go into a league so that you never lose to time or even come close if you can help it. Anyway, that's it for match 1. We were able to take it down, and we were on to the next match.